November 9th, 2025. 2:47 in the morning, 18 nautical miles off the Venezuelan coast. A United States Coast Guard cutter conducts routine counter-narcotics patrol in international waters. Engine steady, radar clear, crew at normal watch. Then, without warning, tracer rounds light up the darkness. Green streaks arcing across black water. Incoming fire. Bridge lookout taking fire from bearing 275. Multiple rounds inbound. The sound follows seconds later. The distinctive crack of heavy machine gun fire. 14.5 millimeter rounds slam into the water, 50 YD off the port. Then 30 YD, then closer. All hands. This is the captain. We are under attack. Man battle stations. Return fire authorized. Because this isn't a warning shot. This isn't harassment. This is a Venezuelan patrol boat opening fire on a United States vessel. And what happened in the next 11 minutes would teach Venezuela why you never ever attack American forces. This is the story of the morning Venezuela made the biggest mistake of 2025. The Caribbean Sea is a major drug trafficking corridor. Cocaine from Colombia, heroin from South America, billions of dollars flowing north to the United States. The U.S. Coast Guard operates here constantly. Legend-class national security cutters conducting counter-narcotics operations, interdicting smugglers, seizing contraband. It's legal under international law. It's essential for American security. But Venezuela sees it differently. For years, the Maduro regime has claimed an extended security zone far beyond their territorial waters. They've harassed fishing boats, threatened commercial ships, and confronted U.S. vessels. But they've never crossed this line before. They've never opened fire. On November 9th, 2025, at 2:47 a.m., the U.S. CGC Stone, a 418 FT national security cutter, was operating 18 nautical miles off Venezuela's coast. Completely legal. Routine patrol. The crew had just completed a vessel boarding. A suspected smuggler turned out to be a legitimate fishing boat. They were returning to patrol stations when radar picked up a fast contact. A Venezuelan Guay-Camacuto-class patrol boat, 125 FT long, armed with heavy machine guns approaching at 30 knots. The Coast Guard tried hailing on radio. No response. They tried visual signals, ignored, and then at 2:47 a.m., the Venezuelan boat opened fire. The next 11 minutes would change everything. 2:47 a.m. The first burst of gunfire lights up the darkness. Tracer rounds every fifth round glowing green arc across the water like deadly fireflies. On the Stones Bridge, the officer of the deck sees them first. Contact bearing 275 is firing, taking incoming rounds. Captain Marcus Webb grabs binoculars. Through the pre-dawn darkness, he sees muzzle flashes. A small patrol boat 800 yards away. Guns blazing. Sound general quarters. All hands to battle stations. Weapons free. Return fire. Alarms blare throughout the cutter. Coast Guard sailors sprint to stations they've trained for, but never expected to use in combat. The Stone is armed. The Mach 11057 gun forward. 250 caliber machine guns, small arms. But this is the Coast Guard. They're law enforcement, search and rescue, not warfighters, until now. Forward gun crew. This is the captain. Target that patrol boat. Fire for effect. The Mach 110 gun pivots. Automated tracking locks onto the Venezuelan boat. 3 rounds downrange. 57 mm high explosive shells screaming across the water at 3,000 FT per second. The first round splashes 20 yards short. Walk the fire in. Second round hits the water directly in front of the patrol boat. Massive geyser erupts. Third round finds the target. Direct hit on the bow. Orange flash. Smoke. The patrol boat's forward gun goes silent, but they're not done. The Venezuelan boat turns hard to starboard, presenting its stern gun. and opens fire again. More tracers closer this time. Rounds skip across the water like stones. One slams into the stone's hull just above the waterline. Metal screeches. Paint explodes. Bridge. Damage control. We've taken a hit forward. Starboard side. No penetration. Hull integrity intact. Another burst. This time higher. Rounds crack overhead, missing the bridge by meters. A Coast Guard petty officer on deck ducks behind a bulkhead. Brass casings rain down from the Venezuelan guns. Forward gun. Keep firing. Suppress that vessel. 4 more rounds from the Mach. 110. Walking fire across the patrol boat. One hits the superstructure, another hits the stern. Smoke pours from the Venezuelan boat. Their guns finally go silent. Target has ceased fire. The weapons officer reports. She's turning away. Speed increasing to 35 knots. She's running. Captain Webb doesn't hesitate. Maintain fire until she's out of effective range and get me Southcom on secure comms right now, because this isn't over. This is an act of war, and the United States is about to respond. 2:52 a.m., 5 minutes after the first shots. The Venezuelan patrol boat is retreating at maximum speed, trailing smoke. The Stone has ceased fire, but maintains weapons lock on the bridge. Captain Webb is on encrypted satellite communications with U.S. Southern Command in Miami. Southcom, this is USCGC Stone. We have engaged hostile Venezuelan naval vessel, took fire first, returned fire. Hostile vessel damaged and retreating. Request immediate support. Over. 5 seconds of silence, then a response. Stone. Southcom. Confirm. You took hostile fire from Venezuelan military vessel in international waters. Affirmative. Unprovoked attack. We have hull damage. No casualties. We are combat effective and maintaining position. Copy Stone. Stand by. Help is already on the way. What Captain Webb doesn't know, 2 U.S. Navy destroyers are operating 40 nautical miles south. The USS Gravely and USS Porter, both Arleigh Burke class, both armed to the teeth, and both just received emergency tasking. Aboard the Gravely, the captain receives the order. USCGC Stone under attack by Venezuelan forces. Proceed at flank speed to provide support. Rules of engagement. Weapons free on any hostile Venezuelan military vessel. The Gravely's engines roar to full power. 30 knots, then 32. The Porter follows. 2 destroyers, combined displacement, 18,000 tons. Combined firepower, 180 missiles, multiple guns, torpedoes, helicopters bearing down on Venezuela. Meanwhile, the wounded Venezuelan patrol boat races toward territorial waters. Their captain radios headquarters in frantic Spanish. We engaged American Coast Guard vessel. They returned fire. Heavy damage casualties. We are returning to port. The response from Caracas is immediate and panicked. What? You fired on Americans in international waters? They were in our security zone. We warned them. You idiot. You just started a war. At 2:58 a.m., 11 minutes after the first shots, the Venezuelan patrol boat crosses into territorial waters. Safe for now, but the Stone maintains position in international waters. Guns loaded, radar active, waiting because 2 U.S. Navy destroyers are 25 minutes away. And Venezuela is about to learn what American naval power looks like. 3:14 a.m. The eastern horizon glows not from sunrise, but from 2 American destroyers charging in at 32 knots. Aboard the Stone, exhausted Coast Guard sailors stare at the radar. 2 fast contacts, friendly IFFF. Bridge CIC Gravely and Porter on screen. Range 8M. Captain Webb finally exhales. Maintain battle stations. Keep eyes on Venezuelan waters. But Venezuela isn't coming back. At Naval Command in La Guaira, chaos erupts. Two U.S. destroyers are racing toward their coast at combat speed. The patrol boat that fired on the Stone limps home with casualties and heavy damage. Now American warships are only 15 miners out. Get Foreign Ministry on the line now. 3:26 a.m. The USS Gravely arrives, placing herself between the Stone and Venezuela like a 9,000-ton steel shield. The porter blocks the northern approach. Stone, this is Gravely. We have the watch. Withdraw for repairs. The Stone turns away. The destroyers stay armed. Scanning. Ready. 3:35 a.m. A message from Venezuela. The incident was an error. We regret it. Request you withdraw. The Gravely replies, We are in international waters. Any further hostile action will be met with overwhelming force. Silence, then acknowledged. For 4 hours, 2 U.S. destroyers sit 12 meters off the coast, visible, unmoved, and unmistakably clear. You attacked us. This is the consequence. By dawn, the world knows. The Pentagon announces a U.S. Coast Guard vessel in international waters was fired upon by a Venezuelan patrol boat. Our crew returned fire in self-defense. The hostile vessel withdrew. U.S. Navy assets are now ensuring the safety of American forces. We demand an explanation and assurances this will never happen again. Venezuela scrambles. Their foreign ministry calls it a misunderstanding, claiming the cutter was mistaken for a smuggler. No one buys it. The Stone was massive, well lit, and clearly marked. No patrol captain mistakes that. Intelligence analysts uncover the truth. A young Venezuelan officer, aggressive, under vague, defend the waters orders, saw an American ship 18 miles from shore and made a reckless choice. He opened fire without authorization, and the consequences hit immediately. The U.S. State Department summons Venezuela's ambassador. The message, this was nearly an act of war. Only a full admission of error prevents escalation. The OAS meets in emergency session. NATO backs the U.S. The 2 destroyers stay on station for 3 days. A steel warning floating 12 miles off the coast. The Venezuelan captain arrested. Career over. The Stone, light damage, no casualties, repaired in Puerto Rico, and back on patrol within a week. And the message permanent. Harass American ships if you want. File complaints, yell on the radio. But the moment you fire, even once the entire U.S. military answers, one chain of command, one response, overwhelming. This wasn't the first U.S.-Venezuela maritime confrontation, but it was the first time Venezuela pulled the trigger. Here's the pattern. 2,000 Dainu patrol boats block a U.S. carrier group. No shots. 2022. Harassment at sea. No shots. 2024. Close calls and radio threats. No shots. Everyone understood the red line. Provoke, but don't fire. On November 9, 2025, Venezuela crossed it. Why? 1. Domestic politics. Maduro's regime needs enemies, and standing up to the U.S. plays well on TV. 2. Miscalculation. A young patrol boat captain thought firing would make him a hero. 3. Boundary testing. They watched Russia, China, North Korea provoke without consequences and thought they could do the same. But harassment isn't attack, and they attack. The U.S. response was textbook. Immediate self-defense. 2 destroyers on station. Intense diplomatic pressure, and a message impossible to misunderstand. The U.S. CGC Stone returned to counter-narcotics work 2 weeks later. Same waters, but now with Navy destroyers close by. Venezuela hasn't challenged an American vessel since their patrol boats keep distance. Their rhetoric cooled. The lesson stuck. A wounded crew, a damaged patrol boat, and global embarrassment were the price. Somewhere in the Caribbean tonight, a Coast Guard cutter is on patrol. And somewhere in Venezuela, a captain remembers that morning green tracers, 57mm retaliation, and the destroyers that followed. He remembers one thing: Never again. So tell me, if you were the Coast Guard captain under fire, would you shoot back instantly or try to de-escalate? Drop your answer below. Like, subscribe, and join the fleet for more real military encounters. Fair winds. See you next time.